Thanks for staying tuned to your station, the AfricaTelevision Television, and welcome to your program, Security Watch Africa. On this channel, we'll bring you information you need to keep your life safe and secure. We'll profile those security agencies and their personnel that are statutorily charged to help protect your life and my life. I say help protect because you are the #1 protector of yourself. You must make sure that you don't expose yourself to be profiled by criminals, and that is why the law enforcement agencies are just to support and help in providing security for you. Thanks for staying tuned. My name still remains Patrick Abambu. Today is a loaded edition of the program. Last week we had Enugu State Police Command in focus. We had the governor of Kogi State. We had what period so many issues we looked into. We plan to continue with our visit to Enugu, which is quite loaded, I tell you, because the command is doing so well. And like we said on the last program, we want to use them as a model to other commands, to our police command in the country, and how security should be done. And that also brings me to another very good news from Enugu State. Just 2 days ago, one of the notable Professor Eya Ndoka, was adopted by some kidnappers, and the Commissioner of Police gave charge immediately to his men to ensure that this man was rescued alive and on time. The kidnappers made contact and demanded over 20 million naira before he will be released. But the good news is that as soon as the Commissioner of Police gave the charge, the men of the anti-kidnapping unit went into action. Right now, the man that was adopted, the professor, 80-year-old professor that was adopted, is resting in his house. He has been rescued by the police. That is what we talk about, swiftness to respond, swiftness to action. That is also one of the reasons why today's program will be looking at something that is very, very critical, talking about the effectiveness of the directive, the presidential directive for service chiefs to relocate to Borno State. I'm sure most of you are aware that in recent times we've been having so many issues coming out from Maiduguri and some of the northeastern states, talking about the Boko Haram people, and it's troubling a lot of people. The federal government is troubled. The military agencies are also troubled, and so they have been asked to go in there and make sure that something is done urgently. Various reasons were adduced for what some lapses that were noticeable in the last few weeks, but that will be unfolded when our guests come into the studio. My #1 guest is my brother, talking about Philip Agbese. Philip Agbese is a crisis analyst researcher based in United Kingdom. He will be looking at what is happening. What happened? Where did the Nigerian army and the Nigerian military get it wrong? Or is the fight against insurgency going down, or what is the situation? Then in the studio already also is Shino Phillips, the Security Watch Africa International Assessor.
Good afternoon.
Already in the studio. But during the program, we'll give you a tip of what Security Watch Africa found out in Enugu State in the week when we met some students in Enugu State and some business entrepreneurs talking about to find out how safe and how collaborative are the stakeholders in Enugu State with the police there. So we'll bring you that report. But that is after I take this short break, then we'll come back and commence the discussion.
Very safe now. Enugu is in God's hands. The state has been very peaceful, very safety, and they are very rapid when it comes to action. They have a rapid response mechanism. Once you call them, they swing into action immediately. We've been feeding them with relevant information. That's where the symbiosis then comes into play. We tell them, okay, this is happening here or that is happening there. We think your men should come in. If it is the one we can handle, we'll handle. The one we can't handle, we'll tell them they'll come in and handle. Our campuses have been safe, free, and Enugu State has been very wonderful.
When it comes to security in Enugu State, I would say it is superb. Like the saying, Enugu is in the hand of God. And we've not had issues recently, especially with the emergence of the new Commissioner of Police in Enugu State, who has been very friendly, more especially towards students in our campuses. We see our campus as being safe recently since he came on board. And I would say generally Enugu is safe.
It's entertainment and you keep people happy. We are here in your place. How has it been in terms of security in Enugu State?
It's really a peaceful state, and the Commissioner of Police is also, a down-to-earth person and making sure that his boys are everywhere, with the CSO, the former CSO that left, and there's now the AC CID and the state CID. These are people who ensure that we have peaceful environment for people to come out, in the evenings and in the nights to come and, have fun.
The fight against
Yeah, welcome back. Yeah, that was a short break, but that was actually showing, like I said, the tip of the iceberg of the report of Security Watch Africa in Enugu State. It's quite loaded because so many stakeholders had to speak. Yes, before we go to the discussion of today, let me just ask Shina Phillips, who was there in Enugu to find out you were in Enugu. What did you notice?
Well, it was quite revealing, all that we saw in Enugu, the collaboration with the different security agencies. But interestingly, when we moved around in the night, the night hours, to think that in that region, that people can freely move around and do whatever they want to do, and yet the entire environment so secured, all areas well littered, and then at very different points you have policemen, fully in charge, and amazing. The people of Enugu are so happy, even including the governor himself, commending the effort of the police and other security agencies. It's revealing, and I think it's a good signal for other commands across the country. Okay,
yeah, like I did say earlier, we're using this as a model for that command to emulate, and it's heartwarming because the professor that was kidnapped just about 48 hours ago, right now is resting at home with his family, rejoicing. Everybody's because the governor himself was quite worried because this is a very prominent person of the state. He was rescued in a forest in Abakaliki, and some of the kidnappers were also arrested, and they are helping to ensure that other ones that escaped will be arrested. That is what we talk about, police responding to swiftly.
Very swift.
Okay. Yeah, to the program I said, because when Boko Haram creates problem for this country, every part of the country is affected. Attention is shifted, and the war against terrorism and insurgency has been largely successful by the Nigerian military and Nigerian government. But recently, it seems that these people have found some strength, talking about the Boko Haram element, and everybody's worried. And the acting president had given a marching order to the service chiefs to move back to Borno to ensure that things are returned to normalcy. So we'll be looking at that. That is taking our attention today, which is quite important. And my brother has come all the way. He's based in UK, but we had to make sure that since he's in Nigeria, let him come and tell us what is happening, what is going on. Talking about Philip Agbese, and who is a researcher and also a crisis analyst. Yeah, Phil, it's a pleasure to have you in the studio.
Thank you very much.
What is happening? We were here in the studio some few weeks ago celebrating the defeat of Boko Haram. What some people seem to suggest that it was all a fluke. Is it true?
Well, let me take you back to your earlier statement about the order of the acting president to the service chiefs to move to the northeast. One, that is actually not new. And I think virtually in military operations, every single statement is actually an order. And this one too is also not new in the sense that in time past there have been orders like this, ordering troops, ordering commanders to do the right thing. The only thing that is slightly different in this case is that this is actually one of the key strategies, that has really, really worked in the fight against insurgency. If you look at it very well, the presence of the service chiefs, who have moved to the northeast. In the first instance, they have moved there to save our country. In time past, it was an order for people to save their job. Like when you mentioned the police, there was a time an order was given to an Inspector General of Police, to rearrest a fleeing Boko Haram terrorists who escaped. That order at that time was given. There was a timeline, and it was for him to rescue his job. But this time, the service chiefs have been ordered by the acting president to move down to rescue this country. So coming back, I think the recent resurrection of terrorist attack in the northeast is too insignificant, to affect the current situation of things on ground. The current situation is that as far as Boko Haram is concerned, they stand defeated. And good news, yesterday, the presence of the Chief of Army Staff in the Northeast, in one of his meetings with one of the formations in the Northeast, he said there is need for a change of strategy. This is because Boko Haram have also changed their strategy, and somehow because the ideology within that area has equally changed. I think what we should be looking at now as crisis experts and people who are interested in the development of our country is the fact that there are new avenues, for research in the way against insurgency, because considering the docile and the degraded level that Boko Haram was reduced to by our gallant military in the past months, and what we're now having at the moment as a result of the oil exploration in the Chad Basin, cause for great concern by all citizens of the world. And it is also another thing for us as Nigerians to now rediscover ourselves, and know exactly why, the war, why terrorism has refused to leave that Lake Chad Basin despite all efforts that have been put in place by government.
Yeah, because some people have said maybe it was not proper. It's timely for government to have continued with the exploration of the oil in the Lake Chad Basin. Now, this time that there is still some issues in that region.
You see, the essence of terrorism is insurrection and all manner of troubles we're having around the world is nothing far from tussle for economic development, gaining economic grounds by countries. If you go to Qatar, where we have some of these crises, even in the Niger Delta region in Nigeria, is about people wanting to control the economy. Those who do not have direct access as a result of government power, they come in through all manner of things. And if you go back, and that is why I continue to say that our problems as a country, we must find a holistic approach to tackling them. Because if you look at it at the moment, in the first instance, when Boko Haram started, the educational ideology they tried to adopt, didn't really go down. It didn't make any sense, in the reckoning of people, despite the fact that they continue with the recklessness, reckless killings and all of that. If you also go to the religious ideology that they tried to adopt, people who go to kill fellow Muslims in the mosques and all of that cannot be, good Muslims. And if you look at their assets in the social media and other platforms, it cuts across religious divide. Now, people who tell you that Western education is unacceptable, you find them reading books in some of the videos that they do, and they make use of modern communication gadgets. So I think this recent attack in the Lake Chad Basin, the attack on our troops, on oil workers, should shift the narrative to what it is. And what it is today is the fact that, the presence of oil in that region and the interest, of actors within this segment, and possibly the activities of powerful individuals from this country who are already carrying out oil exploration within the Chad basin. You recall that we had similar case, in Bakassi Peninsula with the Cameroon authorities. There was no armed struggle, but of course, we saw the level of resistance from the Cameroonian government. So if we go, into details, we'll be able to pinpoint the main reason why this thing is coming up again. And the whole essence of Boko Haram, one, like they had declared earlier, is to create a state for themselves. And the Nigerian government under President Muhammadu Buhari, had vowed earlier, about 2 years ago, that no single territory of Nigeria would ever be under the occupation of any terrorist group. And this, the Nigerian military, they have done perfectly well in ensuring that every single, territory of Nigeria earlier taken by Boko Haram has been reclaimed. This again takes us, into issues like, keeping territories that have been reclaimed.
Go ahead.
Taking territories that have been reclaimed by the Nigerian military. Government is also making effort to ensure that these areas that have been reclaimed are not only taken, from Boko Haram, but there are developmental activities, economic life picking up. So there's difference between the successes on the world today and what it used to be, and the fact that no singular attack, pockets of attack, or even recalibration by Boko Haram to now take women again, desperate move to carry out ambushes on troops and all of that, to stop the business of government going on any part of the country.
Yeah, business of government must not stop. Really, that is the essence of governance, to secure and protect and take care of the welfare of the citizens of that country. If you're joining us, this is your program, Security Watch Africa. You can participate with us on this program via our social media platform. The Twitter account and the email addresses on the screen will be on the screen for you to communicate, then we can read it out. Let's know what you think should be done in this fight, because it's something that calls for reconcile for everybody. You can like us on the Facebook and send your comments so that our guests can take it up on this program. Shina Phillips, let me come to you, because you're a Nigerian, and I know that when such directive comes, some people feel that it's an admission that really something is wrong. But some other people, school of thought, believe that, look, you must review strategies to improve. We have had people, some people suggest that maybe because of it's difficult for the Nigerian military to actually hold ground. The American the report that was brought out is being misinterpreted, which I also want you to talk about later. It says that because the rainy season is affecting the Nigerian troops from holding ground. What is your take on all this?
Well, I think that I seriously corroborate everything he said. Looking at the war against terrorism, the Nigerian army, from a combative point of view, has really done greatly well. But again, I look at the issue of sustaining victory. This is one victory that came and Nigerians were all excited. Now, the need to sustain definitely must take us back to the drawing board. And that's where I think the Nigerian military need to get it right. Go back to re-strategize, especially in, the way to carry the communities in those areas. Because these were supposedly caliphates, made by the Boko Haram until they were completely exited by the Nigerian army. Full victory. But again, you find that the Boko Haram people, a scamper of them infiltrate into these communities and carry out this terrible act. The Nigerian military needs to get back fully, re-strategize, profile people into such community, then reorientate the community, because it's a war first against ideology.
Okay. And
Nigeria, the government will need to find a way, just as is the world over right now, how do we deal with ideology, this war of terrorism? And I'm sure that when we begin to do that, proper orientation, sensitize the public, the Nigerian military is capable. And
on the screen is showing clips of when we visited. Security Watch Africa was in Northeast, Borno, Adamawa, and Yobe for 4 weeks, and we spoke with a lot of people. Saw people who are ready to live the life. You said the point. You see, the Nigerian army, Nigerian military should do community, but the civil police, and we have an agency, the NOA, the National Orientation Agency. Yes. How are these people working to actually help they will use the communities, because these people are hiding in the communities. Somebody must have been passing information to these Boko Haram people that, look, a convoy is going to pass, and for them to ambush and attack. What do you think will be the solution to all this?
Yes, one, we must look at deployment of security personnel to that region. The military has done so much to help in reclaiming these lost grounds. That we must give to them. The civil police must also help to do more as well to ensure that there's a return of normalcy, in these areas that have been reclaimed. And in doing this, there's also a need for them to do a lot of intelligence gathering, in ensuring that, people who exist in these societies are profiled, their backgrounds are known. And this is the area where even the Nigerian Immigration Service needs to come on board to ensure that people who pass through our borders are properly screened, despite the fact that there's this local arrangement between people within that society to coexist without visa and all of that. And even the Civil Defense Corps and other security agencies, and even the traditional institutions, they have a lot to do in ensuring that, life, goes on well again in this locality. From my visit to this area, you can see that the economic life has returned. But some time ago, I was in Maiduguri, and I was actually looking at the restriction, the curfew that was placed by the security agencies. And I realized that the curfew was even suffocating the people, because I trekked a distance of about 30 minutes sometime at night in Maiduguri. I could see people begging security agencies for them, to have passage and move and carry out, their normal activities. So I think in doing that, in reinforcing local civil policing will help in ensuring that these territories. But in terms of misconception or misgivings about the recent counterinsurgency report by the United States, I also think that we are not being fair in reading this report, because this large population of people cannot be illiterate at the same time. But what I think, if we look at the sequence of that report, where the recent approval by President Trump, to sell Super Tucano aircraft to the Nigerian government, is a far endorsement, than any other report. It is an endorsement that is saying that against the postulations of humanitarian organizations, against postulations of other countries, we are fully satisfied that the Nigerian military is fighting this war in the right direction. The human rights record is fine. There's improvement in transparency, contract awards, and all of that. So I think that endorsement by President Trump alone is something that we should bask in that euphoria. And of course, it's a threat to Boko Haram.
Exactly, and that is why all these issues, unfortunately, we must leave. But I think we must continue with this topic, because it's quite a call for really scrutiny of it. Time is not our friend, so we must leave for that programs to continue. But I must thank a lot of people, because some people are still sending messages to us. Of course, unfortunately, we can't be able to take this message, but we'll pass this message across to the agencies concerned for it. And some have been sending messages congratulating us for the 20th anniversary of the program. Thank you very much. We really appreciate this. So many people have done so many things to help this program continue. I must use this opportunity to commend the AIT studios in Lagos. Yes, if you are watching, you laid the foundation and you are still there supporting, because it was not an oversight. It was something that maybe because of the excitement, we didn't mention the Lagos studio for doing a wonderful job concerning this program. And I must also commend my family, because every week I'm out of the family, home. Going everywhere. Right now I'm just stepping in from another part of the world. One was also moving, and they have been there supporting, making sure that we do. So many people have done this, but we cannot be able to thank everybody at the same time. On the final note, before we leave for today, Philip, some people have said that, I don't know how true that is, I don't know what is your take on that, those reports that came from Transparency International, Amnesty International, may have been a prelude, because it was immediately after this report came that this increase in is like Boko Haram gain more power, more energy to start striking. Is there any collaboration? Is there any?
No, there's no such thing like Boko Haram getting more power to strike anywhere. I think what they have done so far, one, they are reacting to their current economy because they've been blockaded, the military suffocated to the extent that survivor, wherever they've been existing, became practically difficult for them. They could also be reacting to the fact that the war has been won and they've not been patronaged. And most importantly, the oil exploration in the Chad region, they want to keep their sponsors abreast to also reassure them that they're still around. But in the general interest, if you look at it from the security point of view, you see these are panic reactions.
Exactly. I think
and it can't go anywhere.
I would agree with you 100% because, like I said, I remember when I was going to the Northeast with my team, many of them were so scared to go because they thought it's not. But we got in there, they never wanted to come back because life was so good, calm. People were moving about their business without any harassment. Recently, so many Nigerian artists have gone there. They've held shows. Football matches have been played, and all that. I remember that you also had a rally.
Yes, we had a rally with over more than 1 million persons in attendance.
But one thing that also troubles me, though, we must leave, is that when an issue happens in the far outskirts from Maiduguri, the media report says Maiduguri attack, Maiduguri bomber blast in Maiduguri, and the distance is quite far. I don't know why. Is it media helping to escalate the situation or what? No,
it is not far from the situation that some persons, graduated from universities with a pass and they are working in media houses. What must be done about it?
All right, we must leave other programs to continue. Yeah, I must thank you for joining us on the program today.
Thank you.
Yeah, really thank you. We'll continue with this with subsequent edition of the program, but we must leave for now for other programs to continue. Until we come your way again next week, I would say thank you for joining us, and do join us again next week so we can do much better than we did now. Bye for now.
AIT, sharing the African experience.